Good morning. Welcome to Wiregrass Equipment. We left off yesterday. We were laying out stripes on the 96 W900. Thought I'd give you a little update on that, a little better shot of it. You can see the guys have just about got it ready to spray. They've got to come back in and sand this fresh paint up, probably like 800,000 grit, maybe even red Scotch-Brite, but it's got to have some tooth to it to hold on to the paint they're going to spray today. And it looks like it's all laid out ready to go. So I would imagine once they finish sanding today, they'll start spraying. I'll bring you back for some shots of that. That'll be pretty interesting. Again, going to spray with Imron Elite single stage. It's a light blue color the customer picked out. I think it's going to turn out pretty good. It's difficult working around the hook bolts on the cabs, but these guys know what they're doing. They'll come back and get that laid down really well. See, we have another T800 hood over here we sprayed last week. The customers brought that truck in. We'll be installing it today or tomorrow, I think. Same color as this W9 that we're doing over here. I believe this is a 06 or an 07 T800. So alright, bring you back when they start to spray. You ready for breakfast? There you go, guys. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Alright, Mabel. Alright, Trina. There we go. Alright. John's going around now heating up these lines of tape. Make sure that it's stuck down good, but you can see where we've sanded everything. Sam's going around with wax and grease remover on the other side, getting prepared to spray. You see around the hook bolts, if you'll heat that up a little bit, it'll kind of suck up to it. There's a little corner we're going to have to heat. He'll probably go just ahead of him, sucking those down as we go through. But you've got to take all the shine off of the paint when you sand it to give the blue color we're about to put on a little tooth to stick to. See a few more here. That a little propane torch or a heat gun or something like that works really good. I like that color blue. Waiting for it to tack up a little bit.
So you can just put it on with one coat like that. I think looks alright.
You go left to right and then up and down.
Ken and them were saying you can do one heavy cut.
Yeah.
As long as it ain't trying to run, I don't see it. Really big problem.
Like it's covering real good to me. Better than I expected, really. Yeah, that is slick.
Want me to hit it with the heat?
Hard to pick up the reflection, but I know it's going to be hard to see on the GoPro, but man, it is slick. Great. It looks good. Really, really good. John probably sprays, I don't know, 40 semis a year. He's comfortable working with this material. He's got a really good eye for it. Lays it on pretty dang good. This light blue is really going to look nice against the white, especially with some polished tanks, polished wheels. Put the breathers and the sacks back on, it's going to really pop. Always difficult to get in there, and we've had some trucks we've unbolted sleepers on and moved them back. Some customers aren't as concerned with it. With good quality paint, you can get some good coverage in a tight area like that. You've got to work at it and sort of know what you're doing, not to let it get too thick in there and start to run off. John's got that technique down pretty dang good. Still having to re-stretch our tape a little bit with a little heat. It's 98 degrees actual air temperature. Heat index is 105. About like any June day in South Alabama. Wouldn't think you'd have to add heat to it, but find that works best. Really impressed with the color. if you can tell or not, but he's working the trigger. It's got air flowing out the whole time. And when he cuts back into his wet edge is when he deepens the trigger a little bit, let the paint flow. Kind of helps with starts and stops more than anything. Driver's side's most important. That's the one you're going to see every day. Once he finishes a panel, he just steps back, kind of eyes it real close, looks it over, make sure we're covered well. I am very impressed with how the paint is covering. Normally on lighter colors you don't get as good a coverage as we're seeing here, but this is really good paint. Really good single stage paint. You can see he just sprayed that on. Very, very little orange peel in it. Some of that'll settle out. Some of it we may go back and wet sand and buff. Man, that's pretty slick. See how he's doing on the passenger side. Tying into the back. I believe the gun he's spraying with is a 2mm tip. Usually do it clears with 1mm. This seems to work good for the single stage paint. If we do primer, anything industrial with a bigger tip than that. But it's like he's getting good flow. And in that pocket again, back to the sleeper boot. Like we talked about on the other side, it's if you were spraying a red something, you may have to move that sleeper back to make that work. But we're getting good enough coverage that I think we're fine here. What's the one thing you have to concentrate on the most when you're laying it down? That it's not running, or it's getting enough coverage but not too much?
Yeah, make sure you cover the... I think most people would probably spray inside here, but you really got to spray inside here to make sure you get
The bottom stripe covered in good.
plenty of paint on it.
Does it make you nervous at all about peeling the tape up tomorrow? And it's happened to us before. Peel a little edge up somewhere. You see where they've got paper directly next to the areas we're painting, then plastic above that. And that's to keep the paint from actually flaking and going back into the newly painted surface. So if you get a little piece that flakes off that plastic and it lands in the fresh paint, it's going to sort of melt in there and you got a mess. You run a little piece of paper, then you just eliminate that, and it's just 6-inch paper. Tighten this tip up there to get right back in the crack. You'll fan it back out now to come back down the side. This air is running through a 3-stage filtration system. We found that the plastic airline works better for us spraying than the rubber air hose. The rubber air hose will hold on to some oils or moisture that the plastic won't, but we spent a lot of money on our air filtration to help keep any moisture or oil out. Been working good for us for several years. We have to change filters pretty regularly, but it's not that big of a deal. On the big panels, just like you would a car, you've got to be robotic. You want your whole body to move, not your wrist. You want to stay an equal distance away from the panel the whole time. And he just ran out of paint. We're activating this paint with a slow reducer. Like I said, it's nearly 100 degrees outside. And, not going to be hard to work it in. Not worried about runs. You know, really, he's got that under control with his technique. Now, that is slick. That is nice. Very good job, John. Look back over the passenger side again. Feeling a little bit of paper back. Whew, that is going to be nice. Alright folks, that's going to about do it. Sorry, didn't realize he was going to pull back that tape. That line is crisp. That is awesome. Whew, I like it. I like it a lot.